speaking of people who've gotten shafted in the Senate recently,
All right.
do you guys remember the story of Aidan Maese-Czeropski, a.k.a. the Senate Twink?
I blocked it out.
Yeah. This was the day we woke up and saw that our news feed was full of gay porn being retweeted by conservatives for some reason. Truly a dark day. We're obviously not going to show you the video right now.
Good.
But for anybody who has forgotten, in December 2023, Aidan Maese-Czeropski, Czeropski, my apologies to the Senate Twink, a 24-year-old legislative aide to Democrat Maryland Senator Ben Cardin, filmed himself having sex with another man in a Senate hearing room. That video was then shared in a WhatsApp group chat before leaking to social media and being picked up by the Daily Caller.
Was he the one who shared it?
I believe it was the guy standing behind him who shared it. But this is why when you're boning in the Senate chamber, you don't text the video to people. The bare minimum, if you're gonna get it on in the halls of Congress, don't text people about it. But since then, it's been certainly an interesting intervening few years for this guy. He got fired, rightly. The government declined to press charges because he hadn't technically broken a law somehow. He spent a brief time in a psych ward as he emotionally spiraled out after losing his job. Then finally he went backpacking around the world and moved to Australia, where he now officially rebranded himself. His official Instagram handle is the Senate Twink.
No.
And he launched an OnlyFans page under that same name.
No.
So
no.
while this guy once insisted, please leave me alone, I just want to live privately, that is no longer the case. He is now clearly trying to capitalize on this. Case in point, he just did an interview via FaceTime with New York Magazine and produced one of the most insane things I have ever read, because he explained why he did it. And this actually leads us back to the Doge point we discussed in the previous segment, because he did all this because he was bored, because there was not enough government work for him to handle. So he decided he would fill time and some other things by going into the Senate room with his boyfriend, gave him a tour, and was back at his desk by noon doing nothing. To quote from the article,
Crazy.
Listening to him recount his days getting paid by Congress to do nothing, quote, I would beg the chief of staff for work, I had nothing to do, is cause enough to wonder whether Elon Musk's blathering about government inefficiency is, on its face, well-founded. What is it they say about idle hands? To quote from him again, I would come in 9 hours a day, sit there bored out of my effing mind. So yeah, I'm going to entertain myself and F in a room.
Jeez. Imagine how much of a legend he would be, though, if he hooked up with a hot girl in the Senate and got caught on camera doing that. It's a whole different thing if that happens.
I mean, I think it's still bad either way. But
Totally,
yeah, no,
totally different though.
You're right. This speaks volumes to what Elon's been saying. What the heck are these people doing? Like, he shouldn't even be able to get away with that, because that room should be active. They should be doing things in there, not those types of things.
Oh, boy, like, I have a special, aside from the twinking, like, and I told you this, Brandon.
I don't know where you're going.
No, not the twinking. The Senate staffers and Congress staffers are the worst kind of people.
Oh, yeah.
I said this 1,000 times. Every time a politician, when his rise to fame is, senator, Congress staffer, and to local politician.
Red flag.
And to congressperson and to Senate, those are the worst kind of people. If your career starts as a staffer, you are the worst. And this is a cherry on top. Because this is what we saw this guy, and I feel partly guilty because we reported on it. We should have ignored this piece of news because he's now doing a business from being reported.
Well, apparently his OnlyFans is not doing very well, where he's in the situation most OnlyFans creators find themselves in, which is produces next to no income.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, this is staffer behavior. They're the worst. They're the worst kind of people. They're I don't know. I just don't like staffers. What do staffers even do?
Have you met one?
Nothing.
In real life, IRL.
They staff.
Have you met one?
Have you? I'm
sure
asking
there's a
you.
staff involved.
Have you met a staffer
No, but-
IRL?
No, I haven't. And I don't want to meet one. I never want to meet one.
Okay.
It's always this type of news with staffer. Have you ever heard like staffer saves dog and stuff's fire in a burning building? Never.
I haven't. No.
It's always like staffer steals money. Staffer does twink things on the Senate. Staffer does this.
Now, let me ask you something.
What?
Flip the script for a second. say that's some different guy, like he's a bro, like, he's masculine and all that, gets caught on camera. It's with like, I don't know, say Lauren Boebert or something, decides to run for Congress next year. You voting for him?
No, I don't encourage
Really?
it. I don't encourage
Okay.
that
I wouldn't
behavior.
Just seeing it-
degeneracy.
I'm just seeing if it's across the board,
It
equal
is
equal
across
judgment.
the board. It is like
Oh,
the
how,
Senate.
how noble of you.
No, but the Senate needs to be respected.
Of
Yeah.
course.
All right?
Yeah, you don't want to
It needs-
desecrate it.
You don't
Well,
want to
this
it.
might actually be a conversation worth having because as he continued in the interview, in some sense, I effed in the Senate because I was miserable and wanted a way out. And he talks about how he has no grudges and has no desire to suss out who leaked it, saying, I had a half second where I was like, I know so many people who have effed in the Senate. I could throw people under the bus to water out my own scandal. I feel guilty that the thought crossed my mind. Do you remember when Madison Cawthorn said, like, I know a lot about degenerate sex parties in the halls of Congress.
Yeah.
I've been invited to them. And then he got blacklisted, ousted from Congress, and we never heard anything about it again.
Yeah.
Really?
Wait, what do you mean you got blacklisted?
Well, there was all sorts of, like, sexual allegations against him, and
Wow.
which the kid's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It's a mighty bold of you to assume he's, committing
Yikes.
acts of violence like that. I think it was before he was crippled. But he was trying to say, yeah, there's people doing stuff, the cocaine and sex all over Congress.
Oh, voting drunk. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Was that the same guy you're talking about that said the senators vote drunk?
I believe
on bills?
so.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Wow.
that's American tradition. Okay, don't hate on it.
So it's okay to get drunk before you're voting on legislation, but not blow off some steam.
Well, how do you think they used to do it in the 1900s? All right.
Yeah. So why are you being all stiff about it? If it was like banging a hot chick in
Stiff.
there. Yeah. No pun intended.
Nah, they was drinking and fist fights.
Well, firstly, sex is
Well,
for
yeah.
marriage, Brandon.
Right.
First and foremost. Okay.
And you're right. Women were definitely not allowed in there at that time.
that's probably I don't know.
Well, I'm sure this is actually far from the gayest thing that's ever happened. Because, I mean, bear in mind, we've had senators like Barack Obama
Yep.
and some of the other people of his ilk. But
Big Mike.
I agree that we expect a little bit of a higher behavioral standard for
Yes.
our elected leaders. And as in every government throughout all of history, there is always the seedy underbelly, the degenerate stuff they get away with behind closed doors. But polite society tries to be like, if you can't not do it, at least don't do it on the desk in the room where you're voting on things. This guy was on all fours on the desk that Amy Klobuchar had sat at just a few days before.
It was her desk.
Yeah. This was the room where James Comey testified about Trump-Russia collusion. And
probably-
like all,
Wow.
it was
Probably
where
sniffed it.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg was appointed to the Supreme Court, apparently.
But wait, you know the story better. No charges. Ever.
No charges.
No charges.
Walked away
'Cause,
scot-free, except he
boy,
lost his
nothing.
job. Nothing.
Nothing.
Because they couldn't find a single law that's been broken by...
I mean, is there?
There's decency laws.
Yeah, are there
Yeah.
decency laws about fucking in a workplace? Like
you would
come
like
on.
to
Jeez.
think.
Jeez. We didn't think they had
Making
the
love.
whole
Yeah.
show.
making love in an office.
Not very,
Oh, there was
not
there
very
was
ladylike of you.
There was no love going on in that video. Unfortunately, we can all attest to that.
Oh no.
brutality.
But yeah, apparently, and let's be honest, I'm sure they broke a bunch of laws, but because it was two flaming homosexuals, it would have been homophobic if they had charged them with anything. Because in many places in the country, there are still legitimately sodomy laws on the books that could be prosecuted if anyone was so inclined. They just don't, because society has moved past the point where that is a prosecutable offense. So I'm sure these two guys broke some kind of law, but it was like, you know what? Let's fire him and call it a day.
There's
It
12
was
states
sweeping
that still
under the
have sodomy laws.
I wonder how they prove that, by the way.
What
in
states?
Florida.
Is Florida one?
Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Texas.
All
Wait,
the best
one of
ones.
those. Where was the
Interesting.
state where you can show your boobs?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Is that on there?
No, it's not
Okay,
on there.
of
No,
course.
they're
No,
opposite
Minnesota
end.
is long gone.
Opposite
Okay.
end of the spectrum.
Like,
They encourage it, actually.
Law-wise, it's one of probably the worst states. It's probably the worst state in
Which is
the
kind
world.
of funny given
Which
that
one?
Minnesota has this
Minnesota.
like gigantic Muslim population as well.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Michigan are like overrun. So I mean, referencing back to our other segment on that, it's like you have a strong Muslim population against a population of modern women who just won the right to bare their breasts anytime they want. I have a lot of people getting rocks thrown at them over there.
Yeah, wow.
but-
It's putting like two polar opposites against each other. That's interesting.
Yeah, the Sharia law versus feminists in the streets of Minneapolis.
I hope the feminists win, honestly.
Well,
against Muslims. Yeah.
I don't know. But back to Congress. It's crazy that there were no charges brought, but this is clearly a big.
Well, it was a
embarrassing
Democrat-controlled
black eye.
Congress
Yeah,
at the time.
Exactly.
So wait, that's a fact. No charges.
No charges.
No,
The
you
guy-
think Pelosi's been put something against him? That's why I always say Congress is the most powerful thing in the world. I mean, like if they
It was
want to
the
make
Senate.
it,
It was the Senate.
Congress is the Senate.
All right.
Like Congress is House and Senate. I'm saying, like the body of Congress, the House and Senate, most powerful thing in the world. If they want to make an example out of somebody, they could like put you away for life. If they want to not prosecute you, they could not prosecute you for anything.
It feels illegal though.
It does.
Like,
Because
doesn't-
it probably was.
It doesn't matter. They make
It has.
the law.
It
I
has
think
to-
the only way to test it is for one of you to go to Congress and have sex with a staffer, but for a Republican congressman.
I'll do it with a woman in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
listen.
I mean,
listen,
I'm going to run for
listen.
Congress in 4 years, and I don't know. I'll
Who
look
was
at the
it?
law book.
Bobert,
Yeah.
when she got fondled,
In
it
a
was
movie
an
theater.
outrage. It was an
I kind
outrage.
of went under the radar.
I think it was an outrage.
No,
Nah.
no, it was a blip
It
on the
depends
radar.
on who you ask. A lot of people watch the video just because it was.
I was.
And it's
entertaining,
interesting that even the
but-
Democrats didn't make a big fuss about that, and that tells you that that's like some type of behavior they're afraid of getting caught doing. So like that's a pattern with them. They don't make a big thing out of things that they know they're guilty of too.
But they did make a bigger deal out of Lauren Boebert getting felt up in a movie theater than they did with this guy getting
Literally
slammed
doing it.
in the Senate hearing chamber, which it's really kind of funny. A woman getting felt up by a dude in a movie theater, that's a tale as old as time, even if it's inappropriate behavior for people in public, certainly conduct unbecoming of a member of the United States Congress. That's a thing that's happened forever. The dudes in the Senate chamber, that's a little bit more.
it's a new one.
That's a new thing.
Yeah.
You think they
But-
don't want to
but-
come across as homophobic?
Yeah, so
maybe that's
the
why.
straight thing dominates the news cycle for a couple days. and
Right.
Black mark on Lauren Boebert forever.
Yeah.
This guy gets to go to Australia and escape any kind of scrutiny at all.
Right.
That's where they all go when they run away from something.
This is.
Apparently, prisoner penal colony. Right?
Ah, penal. Get it? Ah. All right.
I don't like this at all, Connor.
What?
It feels unfair. It feels illegal. It feels cheap. It cheapens
What?
democracy. Like
What are you talking about?
that the
That
guy
there was
is-
no charges
that-
against
yeah,
the
that
guy.
that guy is sitting there with a
Yeah.
mankini, where Amy's from.
Hopefully not in my state. Hopefully not in my home state.
Well, we can maybe just hope we go to war with Australia and
They're an ally.
for now.
For now, yeah.
There was that whole nuclear submarine deal that caused a bunch of problems for a while. And
Yes.
It's basically trending towards being a failed socialist state. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe after we annex Canada, we can wrap around and take back the prisoner colony. as
That would be
well.
crazy. It's on the other side of the world.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.